right. And that opens us up here for our 12th meeting of Humans Anonymous. I'm Landon.
I'm Amaria.
And welcome to Humans Anonymous. Thank you for listening or watching, wherever you may be listening or watching. Obviously, we're not in the studio today. Kind of a little bit different setup than we normally do. Today, we'll be doing a little shorter, bite-sized episode, something easier for you guys to just listen to instead of having to sit down for a longer episode. And these will kind of either be sprinkled in or like this week, it might be the full episode for the week. So this is one that we're kind of going to see how it goes. And so, yeah, it'll be a different format. We're here in my mom's basement today. We've got Bob Ross with us.
We got the name right.
Bob Marley. Thank you, Emily. Bob Ross in the studio in my mom's basement with us today. Normally, we will be in our house. We're going to try to do this in our living room, kind of more relaxed. We're going to call this story time or something like that because we will be telling some stories today. But yeah, so anything else before we get into it?
I just had some really delicious chocolate cake.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Chocolate cake sounds really good right now.
It was delicious.
Where'd you get it? How come you didn't give me a piece?
So like Lily cut herself a piece.
Oh, you got it when we got here?
Yeah, she okay, because I was like, what kind of cake is that? And she's like, tuxedo cake. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she cut herself a piece, took one bite of it in the living room, was like, this is trash. And I'm like, let me try it. It was delicious. It was so moist and oh my God, it was delicious. I couldn't believe I ate the whole thing.
Sneak a piece before we leave.
I ate the whole thing. It was delicious.
All right, so cake, got that out of the way. Let's see, anything else cool going on? Just if you guys have been liking what you see and liking what you hearing, please head on over to our website, www.mwah.net. That's mwah.net, mwah.net. That's the basically mother company, the mothership. So go over there. We got more content over there, more information about the troop and what we're doing. And there's ways to contact us too if you want us to come speak at an event, speak at your school. We've been doing that for years as well. And so we'd be happy to talk to you about anything or just get a hold of us. If you guys are hearing something on here that you're also struggling with, feel free to send in questions, get a hold of us on social media and send in questions, whatever way you guys want to contact us. But yeah, other than that, let's get into it.
Okay.
We're going to be telling some short stories today just about people who have kind of maybe inspired us in the past. And that'll be kind of the theme of this segment, is just talking about like people who have overcome things and or people who have inspired us.
Okay. I'll go first.
Okay.
So I'm going to be talking about a singer. I don't know how many people know him. I have been listening to him since I was 12 years old.
Okay.
His name is Ronnie Radkid.
Okay.
He is the lead singer.
I
don't like this. I don't like this setting.
It's a different setup.
He's the lead singer of Falling in Reverse.
Yeah.
You know them. I mean, since we've been together, I've been listening to them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they came way before you, babe.
Yeah. And real quick, yes, we're wearing sweatpants. This is going to be our Kick It segment.
Yeah. Anyways,
Ronnie Radkin or Radkid?
So it's spelled Radke. Ronnie Radkid.
Radke,
just the way that I say it.
Yeah, that is a funky name.
Radke. But
okay,
the way
Ronnie, we'll call him Ronnie.
The way it's, I know that.
I'm sorry, I get stuck on weird things.
I know you do, but it's like it's the way, because he pronounces it that way too.
Radkin, like almost like Radkin.
Yeah, but
like no N.
No N.
Radkin.
Something like that. It's literally. I grew up in the south side of Chicago, babe. Yeah. You got to know I talk weird sometimes.
No, you're good. I just didn't know what you were trying to say, and I get
stuck. Okay. So anyways, let's get back to this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about his where he started, where he was low and where he is now.
Okay.
So Ronnie was actually a part of a different group called Escape the Fate, who I also listened to.
Reverse, he was part of Escape the Fate.
Yes. Okay. Back in 2008, Ronnie was arrested for violating his parole. He was addicted to drugs, opioids, as he stated in a in an interview with someone. I'll get to that in a minute. But a really strange fact about him. He is the reason that Six Flags no longer does metal concerts at their facilities. He actually injured a 16-year-old girl while trying to pull her up on stage. He was high.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
he was out of his mind and
uh-huh.
ended up hurting her.
Yes. So he's the reason that they don't do metal, like they don't let any bands that sing like that to their facilities anymore.
No
But
more rock concerts.
yeah, so let's go to like the lowest point in his life, which was when he got arrested. He, like I said, was a part of Escape the Fate. He got kicked out from the band because he was arrested. He had violated his parole and was sent to jail. Now being an addict and going to jail, you're gonna go through withdrawal.
How long was he sent to jail for?
2.5 years.
Okay, so he wasn't getting out anytime
Oh,
soon.
no.
Yeah, so he was having to not just go through withdrawals, but
he
was
had to
having
stay
do
sober.
that in prison.
Yeah, and he was gonna have to stay sober.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm actually gonna read what he had said in his interview about his experience. It's a very little, just tiny paragraph of just a little bit of insight of what it was like for him going through withdrawal.
Gotcha.
So this is an article back from 2010 after he was released. I quote, this is what he says: "The withdrawal was about 2 weeks, but they don't care about you. You tell them you're going through withdrawal, and they give you, I don't even know what it is, but it makes you sleep, but it did not help. I swear, right when I was feeling well enough not to lay down, I went to court in jail, and they were like, 'You're going to prison.' I felt good enough to go do this, and now I'm going to prison." That, it was, but
So it hadn't quite clicked with him at that point that what was going on was bad enough to where he was going back to prison for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
he thought that maybe he'd be able to get out.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but he had already been there the 2 weeks.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And he thought that after those 2 weeks they were just gonna let him go.
Yeah.
But he was wrong, and he stayed there. He actually got out on good behavior after 2 years because he was sentenced to 2.5 years.
Gotcha.
After getting out of jail in 2010, he actually formed his own band called Falling in Reverse. I still listen to them now. They actually, Ronnie actually just came out with a song last year in 2023, and I listened to it. He's been one of my favorite artists all my teenage years and even now. Since he has been out of jail, he's actually been sobered. So over 14 years now.
Gotcha. And like, I'm just wondering, like, do you think that if they would have let him out after those 2 weeks, he would have stayed sober?
Oh, I personally don't believe that. I mean, you have to think.
Like, as crazy as that is, having to go to prison for a couple of years, like, who knows what was actually on his background or whatever. But
the crazy thing is,
how different would his life be if that didn't happen?
Right.
Maybe before he got arrested the next time, he would have ended up killing himself.
I forgot to mention, he was only 18 years old.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So he had already been previously in trouble with the law at 18 to the point where he got sentenced to 2 years. Gotcha. So for whatever reason, maybe drugs or alcohol, he was kind of messing his life up.
Yeah,
majorly.
Even though he was getting famous. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, who you are. It does not matter. I'm gonna go in and so after about a year after they released their first album.
A year after what?
Oh, sorry. So about a year after starting his new band, they released an album.
A year after he got out of jail?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's as soon as he got out of jail in 2010, that's when he formed his band. Right away. It was like a snap of the finger thing because he knew that he wanted to do music still.
Gotcha.
Anyways, he formed a new band, and literally 1 year later they released their first album.
Okay, so he got back to music.
Yes. So Ronnie has always right now all he really talks about in his music is about his mental health and stuff like that and where he's at with it. And he doesn't really mention the drugs. I have noticed that with a lot of his music, but there's one song.
And that might be because at this point in his life too, that's kind of part of the past, and he's dealing more with the mental health side of things, because the mental health side of things is what seems to be persistent throughout life. As soon as you get an addiction under control, that there's part of that goes away completely.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of other stuff you deal with, just being an addict, but
Right.
being that far past his addiction, I bet mental health is just what he's struggling with more. Does
Right.
that makes sense?
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why he speaks more on mental health.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're about to bring up something from the past.
Yes.
Like that first album where he talks about kind of the addiction side of things.
Yes. So, this was, and granted, this was 1 year after being out of prison. So
Right.
being sober for
very
3
fresh.
years. Yes.
Well, and really, like, obviously he was, 2 years in jail with that sober, but being on the outside and being sober is a completely different ball game.
So
he almost probably had to relearn how to be sober again.
exactly.
After he'd already been sober for
Well,
2
I think
years,
that's kind of like what this is,
Yeah.
so
ahead,
I'm going to
read
go
it.
ahead and read some of these lyrics.
I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
It's okay. So bear with me. I'm not much of a singer. It says, the spirits stuck between two roads are waiting there on me. The first path is the way to go, the life I want to lead. The second road's my crazy past, the darkest points I've tried to mask. The drugs, the guns, the lies, the lows, the dreams I had of waking up.
So maybe that was like after jail, those two paths that he had to choose, or after
even
he got arrested,
or before.
He had to make that choice of, do I keep doing what I'm doing, or do I live the life I want to lead?
Right. And I mean, being an artist, for this long, that he's wanted it this bad. So maybe, after all of this, he really just had a clear head about everything, and he was like, this is really the life I cannot live anymore.
Yeah.
And he's like, the life that I do want to lead is to be successful and, help others maybe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, today he is clean and sober. He's still doing shows, still making music.
That's awesome.
Granted, he's still very punk rock, and
Oh yeah.
he has a tattoo on his forehead now that he actually got done in Milwaukee last year of what is it? They're like razor blades on a fence. At the top.
Oh, like barbed wire?
Yeah, he has barbed wire on his forehead now.
Gotcha.
Going across like right here at the top of his head. He's really punk rock. I love
he's
him.
Still wild, but
yes.
he's just sober wild.
Yes, he's sober wild. That's the best. So
yeah.
I look forward to maybe
cool.
going.
I really enjoyed kind of hearing more, because like obviously I have heard of Ronnie before.
Right.
I didn't really know too much.
B knows Ronnie.
Yeah, our daughter knows plenty of Ronnie. So yeah, anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, me not personally. I just look forward to maybe hitting a concert this year of his, seeing how he is in action.
Yeah,
I would love that.
We'll have to try to make it happen. All right, so I guess it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about somebody that you probably know because, well, I know that you know him because you know all of the guys that are involved with his group. Brandon Novak is the guy I'll be talking about today, and some of you guys might know about him too. I've talked about him a little bit at previous presentations that we've done, but he was part of the group of guys who assembled to create the Jackass franchise. So like Bam Margera, Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Wee Man, he was part of their group for a long time. But even before that, at like 14 years old, he was the first ever skateboarder to be sponsored by Gatorade.
Okay.
Tony Hawk had found him and was basically trying to help. He was a professional skateboarder at 14 years old.
Right.
So he was just a super talented kid and kind of got this huge shot at fame and success very early. And early on, I mean, it did well for him. And yeah, so he was a professional skater at 14. And as time went on and as he started making more money, he got involved with the wrong things. And him, as well as other guys in that group, have struggled with like alcoholism and drug addiction. But it was a lot different for Brandon Novak. It kind of took over with him a lot quicker and a lot harder. And for years, those guys were trying to get him sober. And he ended up spending 20 years in active addiction.
Wow.
I think that he had actually a couple years sober around the 2007 time frame, but it was a long time where he spent addicted to heroin and drugs and alcohol. And this was a kid that at 14 years old was a professional skateboarder,
Right.
you know, and I won't go too far into kind of like all of his battles with drug addiction because his story is a very, very long one, but I'll kind of do some highlights here. He finally achieved sobriety in 2015 after struggling with that for almost, like I said, over 20 years.
Right.
He spent his 19th, 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 32nd, 33rd, 34th, and 35th birthdays in either jail or treatment center.
That's a long.
And so he was constantly in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out. When he was 14 years old, like I said, he was picked up as a pro skateboard by the actually the Pau Peralta team. I don't know if you followed any of the skating teams
don't.
back then. I know your brother did.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just a rock star of a kid, basically.
Okay.
He had the dream life growing up, and drugs took over his life, and he got kicked off of Jackass.
Right. I know
guys
that.
really tried to help him and lean into him, and did whatever they could. And so like I think I'm painting a good picture of his past, and that's not really what I want to focus on. I wanted to make it clear how tight the grip of addiction was on him. You know, at 35 years old, he was selling his body on the street for heroin or for a little bit of money so that he could go buy heroin.
Ooh.
And this was a person who 20 years prior, you would have thought that at 35 he would be retired, living in a nice house, you know, and he blew it all. He blew it all for drugs.
Yeah.
And he's standing on the street with none of his friends who he grew up creating, you know, what has now become one of the funniest and like one of the biggest like goofball franchises there is. Like it started as a YouTube show.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
And
worked its way to MTV.
And so yeah, at the age of I believe 36 or 37 maybe, and don't quote me on that, but he finally got sober in 2015, and yeah, his addiction was to heroin, cocaine, pain pills, benzos, and alcohol.
Basically anything that he could have gotten his hands on.
And so now, let's talk about now. After 20 years of being in addiction, he gets out and he founded this foundation called Novak's House. And so now he has a foundation where he starts halfway houses and he gives right back to that community. And he's constantly speaking at different places and doing different things. And so I wanted to kind of highlight his story to show how important it is to give back, because there's something that we say in the AA community. Here at HA, we might bring it in. But,
oh my God.
We keep what we have by giving it away. And so I think that that's kind of something that he seems to live by. He really spends a lot of time just pouring into spending time with people at these houses and building these houses and going and speaking to people about sobriety. And on his Instagram, he posts all the time a number that you can call him at and talk to him if you're struggling, you know, with addiction or whatever.
Wow, like his like a personal number.
I don't know if it's a personal
okay
number,
I was gonna say
like somebody that you can talk to, and he's, you know, just done a lot for the community as far as trying to build accessible recovery, because obviously someone who spent 20 years in addiction has the best kind of perspective on you know,
yeah, I get what you're
saying.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
So I do want to real quick, I want to read something off Novak's House website.
Okay.
Kind of like their mission statement.
Okay.
It's a recovery residence for everyone, called Novak's House. Their slogan is "Be the change you seek."
Okay.
And this is kind of their mission statement. It says, we are committed to helping those who suffer from the disease of addiction find and build a solid foundation of recovery. Our structured housing provides a guided transition from an inpatient treatment setting back into society. So I think that one of the hardest parts for people, and we've seen this firsthand with our buddy Nick, is getting clean and getting sober and then going back into the real world. You know, that's like the hardest part. And so I think that he has been playing a crucial role, and I'm sure tons of people's lives in helping them have that smooth transition, or as smooth as it can be, and be able to stay sober through it. And so I thought that he was a cool kind of guy to highlight
Okay.
kind of what he's been doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, oh, excuse me. So
There we
sorry.
go.
I'm so sorry.
And the yawns are back.
Okay. Anyways, no, I think it's great that he is able to give back. You know, I think it's great that he's able to actually help people with their addictions. I mean, many people, you know, struggle every day with basically the same addictions.
Oh yeah.
You know, and to be that person who actually has, you know, been in their shoes to try and be able to help them is amazing.
Well, and it's like what we're all about here.
Well,
you know, and we talk about all the time, share your story, right? Because there is somebody out there who needs to hear what you've been through and that you made it through. And so like this is his story. This is his path. And so for somebody else it might be something different, but you can let it out.
Just so sorry.
But yeah, so I would just say that one definitely highlights like take your experiences and use it.
Right. Let me kind of clear up what I was trying to get at with what I just said.
Okay.
I was just trying to say like it's not just like you're going to a rehab center and there's the people there have no idea what it was really like to be an addict and go through those struggles of being like held over by something that is so bad for you, and then trying to help you.
Yeah.
But they have no idea what it's really like. That's all I'm just trying to say.
I absolutely agree with you. Yeah. Like as somebody who's been in a lot of treatment centers, you can tell the employees who have dealt with addiction themselves and the ones that haven't.
Right.
You know? And not all the time. I shouldn't say all the time. I don't think I said all the time, but not all the time.
I don't know what you said.
But a lot of the time it is kind of yeah, like you were saying, it's just better and it's easier for someone to relate with someone who's been through what they've been through.
So I just think I just think it's amazing that he's actually, you know, putting himself out there to do that. So
this episode kind of went a little shorter than normal. We'll see if we can shorten it up a little next time. But we appreciate you guys listening to these short stories. Let us know if you liked it. Sound off in the comments if you can. Shoot us a message, whatever you'd like to do. And then I am also going to say this, and I don't say this very often. If you do like kind of the videos, if you guys watch them every week, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. That'd be kind of big for us. We're trying to build the online presence as much as we can to reach as many people as we can, because we do believe that there is a purpose for everybody, and this is our purpose, and so we're going to keep doing it. And if you guys would like to help us, share the video, like the video, subscribe, whatever you can do to keep Amaria from yawning, it would be great.
It's the lighting.
It's the lighting.
It's the lighting.
Get different lights in here. Until we see you guys again, go check out the website, www.moi.net, and we will see you next time.
Did you just say 4 W's?
Anonymous.
Did you say 4 W's?
Use as many W's as you want. Moi.net. Thanks, guys.
I swear you